I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order on Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 5:30 PM. Roll call, Berto here,
Betsy here.
Bell here.
Harf here.
Idler here.
Shampoo here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Bell,
Same.
second by Heidler, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Approve the meeting minutes of January 27th, 2026. I do have a couple things I'd like to discuss. On page 3, line 33, there was a motion to table. Was it actually table? Or was it postponed? Because we have stopped tabling things because then we have to take it off.
On table.
Yeah, I believe that the motion was for postponing,
Okay,
so it might have been just
Change
a
that.
synonym.
and I have a question that has not been answered. I don't believe. On page 4, the standard zoning permit application, and it states on line 33 that additional information was received the day of the Plan Commission meeting, 1/27/26. And in my understanding was that we received the application January 19th. And 45 days would make that March 5th, but then we received additional information on the 27th. And 45 days from that would be March 13th. So which is it?
So it would be for the 19th, and that it would be for 5 days following the receiving the application, that there'd be an opportunity to mark it as complete or not complete.
And so not the 27th when they gave us other information?
No,
Why?
based on the 5 days that's listed within our ordinance. for
Okay.
Reviewing the application.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve with that one amendment then?
So moved.
Motion by Boxy,
Second.
second by Heidler, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public. Sarah did receive an email from Steve Musinski. And everything that's in there is already in my notes. So just pertaining to the proposed map that we're discussing tonight. It will be inserted into the,
Discussion at the time.
no, into the official record. So is there anybody else joining us? We only have Kurt in the audience. I don't know how many people showed up Zooming. If there's anybody else that wants to chit chat with us.
I do not see any hands currently.
All right. So we will move down to number 5A, standard zoning permit application review / approve modifications to existing tower 2530 South Bay Shore Drive. Ben.
All right, this is a follow-up from last month regarding the Verizon application for the cellular tower. Based on the prior communication, we received additional information that the application no longer met the criteria for not having a public hearing. This was prior to the meeting, and that as part of the January 27th, 2026 board meeting, the Plan Commission took action to postpone this item until the commission receives an opinion from the village attorney. So the village attorney had the opportunity to weigh in on this issue and communicated that the application would need to be reviewed, or a decision would need to be made within 45 days of a complete application, or the application would be automatically approved. They did confirm that the village does have the authority to add in additional requirements that would not be listed within state law for the size of the panels, which makes it the criteria that a public hearing could be held to review the application, but it would need to be in compliance with the 45-day window. So the application was received on January 19th with the complete payment here of the application, and that the 45-day window would close on Thursday, March 5th. So in preparation for having different alternatives for the Plan Commission, a public hearing was scheduled for March 4th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. To allow the opportunity for the Plan Commission to hold a public hearing if it chooses to do so. With that being said, legal counsel did recommend that there would be an opportunity to provide input and testimony as part of the review process, and to recommend approval or rejection based on the criteria that are outlined within the village ordinance. So within that yellow box there, that's the different criteria that is associated with this application. So the different options that are available for the Plan Commission here would be to hold the public hearing scheduled on March 4th at 5:30 p.m. or to forego the public hearing, which would essentially result in an automatically approval of the application.
But I thought that, Randy said that he, would encourage us to have as much public input as possible, was his recommendation.
Yes, that was his recommendation for it. And so that's why there's the two different options available, that it's recommended that we follow it, but if no action was taken, it would automatically result in the approval of the application within the 45 days.
So is there a reason that we wouldn't follow our attorney's advice?
No, I think the more info we can get on this, the better. I don't think that there's limited reasons why we might be able to say no to this, or if we choose to. I think we need to keep that in mind, but more engagement with the public is always better. Yeah, I have some other thoughts and feelings on this, and would be happy to share a little bit of overview on my understanding of this, if you'd like.
Sure, go ahead.
So you notice there's a lot, and this comes from 20 years of dealing with this sort of stuff for my day job. You notice there's a lot of different parties involved in here. You've got this Terra company, you've got Verizon, and you've got the company that's leasing the tower, and then you also have the tower owner. So and the name is escaping me who actually bought the rights to rent the tower, but Cellcom owns it. Another company bought 20 years worth of leasing on there. You've got this company that is installing equipment on behalf of Verizon. Reliability issues because nobody actually wants to hang their own equipment. They always subcontract that out. This is very typical. This is how this works everywhere in this country. Sometimes it's frustrating because of some of the things that happen with that, because of liability shielding, but it's very, very common. This will be a net benefit for Sister Bay, I believe, because Verizon cell phones will no longer connect through the Cellcom system. They'll go directly through Verizon. And one benefit the village will actually pick up is that our SCADA system will almost certainly work better. That is not the reason they're doing it, but you just look through there knowing that Sister Bay Utilities is using Verizon-based SCADA equipment. And on busy holiday weekends, Verizon is one of the lowest priorities for Cellcom. It should fix that issue. One thing that I don't like about this is that tower at Lundquist. So much of the communications for the village goes through that. If something happens to that tower, we lose Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Cellcom. And that's a lot of eggs in one basket. I think that might be under our purview, but I think it's something that's worth mentioning. The other thing I did dig through there and see is Cellcom, they call them Insight in the contract, but Cellcom still has a reserve space on there that they can still do a number of other things on there. That's something that I just noticed from one of the footers, or the footnotes in there. So I don't think there's much capacity for anybody else to do anything on there, but I do believe that Cellcom could still decide to change it because it still is their tower and it's going to revert back to them in 5 more years. Vertical Bridge is the name of the company. It just came back to me. So just some background knowledge I have, and these are big antennas they're going to put up there, but probably better for the village.
So are you done? I did want
Yeah.
to. So when I was looking through part of what they presented, and if I read the elevations correctly, there's already some antennas on there that are about the same size. So, I mean, I'm struggling with seeing why size would be a factor here. But I'm open to somebody explaining to me why that's if we've already got something up there that's that size, we're not, it's at 150 feet in the air, you can't tell if it's 7 feet, 6 foot or 8 foot.
Is somebody that goes by and looks at towers. I mean, I see a lot of towers that a lot of folks don't see.
And I get that.
This is completely not applicable to any determination I'm gonna have in the future. To say that on the record, that Lundquist Tower is one of the ugliest towers I've seen. Because of how it's run, because of the big panels on there, because of the transmission lines. That's actually, the transmission lines are a bigger impact than the panels to me visually. But that's not something we get to decide. That's not a legitimate reason to say yes or no to it.
So yes, that's based on a legal review, essentially the intention of why the ordinance was in place to protect the safety and good of, and will of the residents. Essentially, as part of this, it cannot be solely on the aesthetics. As part of the review process, I believe it was in, 2018, 2024, sometime around that, with the wireless communication ordinance was revised. But essentially, as part of that, that's not a listed criteria that would be evaluated. I believe it'd also be based on the capacity and the other uses that would be for that tower as well, or any tower within the village.
Doesn't future use become a function of the tower owner's decision of what they want to allow on there?
So as part of our ordinance, it is listed as the regulation that anything that would be above, 60 inches, that there would be a public hearing process. It's not saying that they wouldn't have it, it's just that it would be additional steps would be taken to confirm that the factors that are listed within the ordinance would be met.
Right, no, I understand that part of it. I'm just saying that if we're talking about a tower with, eventually it'll have limited capacity, one can only add so much to it. But that's the tower owner really that has that say. That's not the village that's gonna determine that.
If I remember, I think I was the one who advocated for that size, because there was talk about what size to have in there. And I believe the logic behind it was, there's two things that affect the loading of a tower. One is the weight of the equipment, how much is going vertically, and the big one is wind load.
Yeah.
And if you have you're talking about something around, I think 7.5 square feet. That's a pretty good chunk of wind load. I think we kind of said that's a little bit more of an impact to modifying the tower than putting up smaller antennas, because you don't want to every time an antenna comes there. And I think the other thing that we really got into, and they actually corrected this, Denise, after I said so many times, they took down an old antenna. So that was when we got into the weeds a little bit on there. But I hear what you're saying, Skip. It's like, why does the size of the antenna matter? I think it's the intensity of the use, is how I would say.
And don't they indicate they're gonna be taking a couple other things off the tower?
Yeah, that's on page 24. I
Yeah,
wanted
that-
to make sure that was, in our motion. If we decide to go to public hearing, whatever, this was prepared by AZI and the UT8 engineering group on page 24, and it stated that, Verizon must have the existing equipment removed at 4 different
Yeah.
heights before installing the proposed equipment.
I have a question on that. Is that Verizon's equipment? I mean, I understood that Verizon didn't have anything on there, so why do they have to remove something? Because they're putting something up?
To my knowledge, Verizon didn't have anything operating or before now, so I couldn't say, I don't have
So
an idea
they're
why they
just
would do
like
that.
dead equipment sitting there?
I can answer that.
Would you like to answer?
Yes, we could. My name is Peter Schau. I'm with Terra Consulting, here with Johnny Lieb. Since Verizon will be doing tower work on that, that is some equipment that's no longer in use that the tower owner has tasked Verizon to remove while they're up there. So it's part of our installation. It's not uncommon for this to occur like this. So that's and it's factored into the structural analysis as a condition of passing.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your name?
It is. It's Peter Schau, SCHAU,
And you're with,
Terra Consulting.
thank you.
Have a good.
Pasta. That's wrong. But also with sausage free. Sound good?
Ellie, we can hear you.
I have a quick question or comment. How long do we know will this tower be in existence for us? Is this going to be 100 years? Do we have any sense of that? Or do you mean know about the technology? I realize it, technology changes over time, right? And the reason I ask this is the aesthetics. Because I know you can have pretty ones. Some are designed to look like a conifer. And boy, you sometimes have a hard time knowing it's there.
Depending upon if.
Not if you're a tree guy.
Not a great,
Don't look.
it's the exception. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious, do we have sense of that? We know.
I think this tower was, so this was, the original tower was put up by, that was actually put up by Kenny Meyer out of Sturgeon Bay. Kenny's no longer with us, but he put it up with Greg Deltz.
Yeah.
Then Cellcom took it over. Cellcom tore it down, put a new one up. They own that tower. They sold 20-year rights to Vertical Bridge. I don't think that tower is gonna go anywhere anytime soon. Vertical, one of the reasons you're seeing these other companies on there, like you're seeing T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon on there, is because Vertical Bridge has got arranged with these companies, so when they sign into a contract for that, it's not to get on the tower in Sister Bay, it's to get onto all their assets wherever it's viable.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I don't see towers going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, you get down to the real low level technical details, they're putting up some really fast wireless on this.
Yeah.
That's not gonna cover the whole bill because it's really line of sight and much faster, so. But that sort of thing, it's not going anywhere. People are gonna have cell phones and you're not gonna have large macro, bigger towers going away in our lifetime.
Thanks.
Peter, what type of a change of service do you expect this to have for Sister Bay? One thing I did not see in the packet was a coverage map that was originally supposed to be in there.
Is that, I'm sorry, asking me that question?
Yes.
Okay, well, the coverage map isn't a strict requirement of 660404, but and I don't have one available. But I mean, essentially, I think is it Nate who was just talking about how Verizon now will be providing service directly to its customers versus as kind of a surrogate through Cellcom. So I mean, I think you're going to maintain the same coverage that Verizon customers currently experience. It'll just be at a much better latency and much higher quality.
Am I reading this right, that this is PCS and C-band?
Yes, right?
FPS is in the back.
Yeah. LT and C-band.
I'm curious, so Verizon's not gonna touch their 700 block with this? Like there's.
Let me double check.
I didn't see that on there, I'm curious, so now I've got the opportunity to ask you.
No, I'd have to go dig deeper into it, but no, it should just be their LTE and their C-band.
Okay.
Would you like to tell us what you asked?
So the
What
700
700
megahertz,
is?
700 megahertz is something that was opened up when Verizon first did LTE, and you saw all the LTE commercials out there. They had an arrangement with Cellcom where they would, and many other companies throughout the United States, where they would let Cellcom use that 700 megahertz band. And then Verizon got to have their devices access it. And looking through there, I didn't see that was in there, which leads me to believe that the 700 megahertz band will probably still be Cellcom's and they'll still have some sort of arrangement with Verizon. So the 700 meg will go a lot further and slower.
Do you have something else, Skip?
No.
So did I hear, at last month's meeting that we have other, panels that are larger than 60 inches on the tower now?
There were that came in front of us from AT&T years ago.
But I believe that the current ordinance was in, 2018, that it was, that the change was made for this. So if it was, I can't say what the prior ordinance was, but with this change, that would, this is why it's coming before the plan commission at this time, because of the increased size. That public hearing would be in place, but for the other one, that like an ordinance was likely not in place that had that was this requirement.
Okay. Just, on page 112. Where they are talking about. Additional site requirements. We're talking about a cabinet area, which is 4 by 11, a pad dimension, which is 4 by 10.
These are all inside the fenced area. at the base.
Right. But then on page 117 and 118, it's talking about an equipment pad that's 7.5 feet by 4. Am I mixing up my numbers? Is there, granted, I understand it's inside the thing, but it just didn't jive to me. I don't know if you guys zooming in can answer that question.
I'm sorry, could you clarify one more time? We're looking at page 117 and we see the dimension there, and you had indicated that that you thought there was a discrepancy on another page. What was that other page?
112
112, okay.
under
PDF.
new equipment. Or additional site requirements, excuse me. Where it talked about a cabinet area and a pad dimension.
Seeing that.
Is this a part of the drawing plan, or is this, oh, this is on the, is that the co-location app?
Yes.
Yeah, there-
Yes, vertical bridge, it's got. There's green bars on it, line and equipment, additional site requirements.
Additional site requirements, yeah, so you have the cabinet areas of 4 by 11. And then you have the 4 by 10 for the generator.
Right. So how does that, is then what's on page 117 and 118, just something different?
See what's
That's
17.
talking about 7'6" by 4.
I think that's referring to the concrete pad.
That's the concrete pad section underneath the footprint of the equipment cabinets. Does that make sense?
But
Okay.
it's a heavier weight bearing.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
but if you
Thank
look
you.
at, if you kind of look at the next page. Oh, no, that's not it, I'm sorry. That's just, I said that's part of the concrete pad underneath the heavier cabinets, as you just said.
Thank you.
All right.
That was kind of minor, it just didn't make sense to me.
And actually our zoning code in 660505-5-B-16 does require the proposed coverage map as part of the application.
Well, let's have that then at the.
Well, that's, and again, what I was saying is that the state law, and that's kind of what your legal counsel advise you on, defines what is a completed application, and a propagation map isn't part of it. So the prevailing law, the application requirements were submitted and it's deemed complete.
I don't think you're.
Do you understand? I mean, that's the state law is what controls. So when the local law goes beyond that, it's preempted by the state law and the local law doesn't apply, is what my point was.
What, for anything that would be for a coverage map, would that impact any of the factors, in your opinion? Yeah.
We're already so far beyond the application 5-day period that it's almost immaterial. but this is something that would have been included.
What section of the code is that in? I'm gonna write it down.
It's on page 99. It's 66.0505-5-B-16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Page what number? 99? Because if it says that in our code. And if the state does not require it as part of a complete application, then we need to notate that.
Right.
And when we, are amending codes and such, then this
Except for
then
co-location.
should be, notated to address as we find.
And we probably need to go through all of section 5.
Yeah, that was something that came up as part of this.
I
as
don't think
well,
it's
that
specified.
the review of what is in alignment with state and federal law, and if there is any changes that,
Good, because
It would be
section
applicable.
5B is the content of the application.
So we will put that in the plan commission tickler file to address in the future. Because so what, that's 8 years old now, Nate?
Yeah.
And do you think that a full review of that would be worthwhile? Has a lot changed in 8 years?
I think there's been a handful of things that have changed, and the other thing we probably need to look at is. Whenever you're dealing with anything related to the FCC, or whenever I've been dealing with it from a business perspective. I've had an FCC attorney involved in it, where it's not just, I had general counsel for most things, but the FCC is very specific on there, so that might make sense to. Get somebody else that is an expert on FCC law to look at that, because it is, more complicated, more complex.
Yeah, we did not have fun going through that at the time. I do not have any other questions. Anybody else?
No.
So, motion would be in order then, if you want it to go to public hearing or not. And that would be on Wednesday, March 4th.
I have to ask myself what the value of a public hearing would be. I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I'm just thinking out loud here. Is it worth the exercise?
Yeah, I thought about that too, but what level has public already been informed? I think there was an original packet publicly available before our previous meeting, right? Which had a lot of detail in it, and we made comments on it. And we're providing comments again today, I guess. So I'm not opposed to having more public in, a chance to speak about this. But with the fact that nobody showed up tonight, other than the folks that are on the call, no one decided to interject. I'm getting the feeling we may not have much attendance on that.
I agree.
There's a very good chance that you won't have somebody show up, but that doesn't mean it's still a waste of effort. I mean.
Right.
I wasn't calling it a waste. I was just trying to.
I hear your point, Skip.
Yeah.
I get you. I can't argue with you on that. I'd be inclined to have a public hearing. At the same point, if the consensus was to, I can only make so much of an argument. You're saying it's best practice to get public input when we can. At the same point, what you said is absolutely true.
Because it's so narrow anyway on what, so we could listen to everybody if we did have some people show up, but that doesn't mean that that's going to influence legally
The decision
the
process.
decision process.
Right.
And it's not like you're putting up a new tower. The tower's there. And probably nobody really cares what goes on top of it because it's there and. Other than you looking at it because it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a tree.
I guess as far as the neighbors that are very close to this, there isn't a generator involved, right? Now, I don't know if there already is a generator and this is just a different one.
So
There
this
is a generator there. I may.
This is a-
Okay,
Yep, so there is a generator and we also have the decibel information that would have been included as part of the public hearing as well, and it does meet the requirements of what was listed. They did also provide FCC information as well, that everything is for the clearance. So in anticipation of the public hearing, they did provide the majority of some of the information that was discussed at the previous meeting for the factors that were discussed. And then just wanted to follow up, is that if you did forego a public hearing, and in terms of public input, some mailers were already sent out for the public hearing, just in anticipation of it, but it could also be followed up that the decision was that it was to forego a public hearing, that communication could be made about the decision as well, about what is actually being proposed for the site.
And who does the applicant pay for the public hearing?
For the applicant, generally for that one, if they come before, they already paid the application fees that are associated with this. So as part of the application process, I'd have to check the fee schedule. Sarah, do you know offhand if there's a specific public hearing portion?
If would it be possible to add on? Or make a
Go
comment?
ahead,
Up to you.
go ahead, sir.
Just to provide you some context, I mean, both state and federal law define this as a permitted use. So typically, permitted use is in our experience for co-locations like this that don't expand the height of the tower, expand the compound. It's just you're installing equipment, co-locating on a tower. Public hearings are incredibly rare. I mean, and because it is a permitted use, we meet the criteria. If there was any sort of denial of it, you'd have to base it on substantial evidence. So, so I get what you're struggling with, but I mean, I can't tell you the last time that we had a public hearing for a permitted use since 2014 in the state of Wisconsin. We've had what you're doing. We've gone in front of zoning boards that conduct reviews for zoning compliance like you're doing now in the public. That's just how they do business. To get the input that you've gotten from your council staff reviewing all the facts. But to open up to a public hearing for public comment on a permitted use, I don't, it's just, I can't tell you when the last time I've ever had that happen.
Just to clarify some of the comments as well, is that the reason that this kicked in as part of the public hearing is that it's over the size for the actual satellite dish in and of itself, what the dimensions are for it. And then based on what's listed within our code is that if it goes beyond that, it'd be actually a conditional use. What would be listed as part of our code. So that's why the public hearing would be necessary as part of.
But again, pivoting back to the conversation we had in your attorney, it's a class 2 co-location, which is a permitted use by statute. So that's kind of where I guess we disagree. And I think, that's what triggers the 45-day shot clock that he confirmed.
I can't imagine that there'd be very much attendance if we did have a public hearing, based on what's happening tonight with just one person in our audience. I think the only objection would be the aesthetics of it, like Steve was talking about. It's too bad that it's not nicer looking, but that's not in the plan. But I would think the majority of our residents would appreciate better service and more accessibility and faster internet and all that stuff that goes with it, just getting things updated. That's just my take on it.
Oh, I pulled up the fee schedule for the village. And I cannot find public hearing.
Yeah, I believe that if a public hearing is required, it just be, it's included as part of the application fee.
Is this considered a conditional use permit?
That is what our ordinance states.
But how can our ordinance say one thing when the state says,
Because the panels are over 60 inches.
yeah, but the state says that they can be over 60 inches?
Well, I think this is a 2018 ordinance. There very well could have been.
Ours or the state?
The state's, ours has not changed since 2018. The
Okay.
last revision was in 2018 to the ordinance, and that there very well could have been changes to state or federal law that add it, but as per the legal guidance is that it is permissible to go beyond what is listed within state statute and to hold a public hearing so long as it's not specifically on the criteria of aesthetics.
And does it say, if there is something already on there larger?
So I mean, there is something on there larger, just based, I don't know if it's actually in the application and of
Yeah,
itself,
it's on the photos that were included. They had elevations in there.
but it very well could have been prior to 2018 when the ordinance was enacted.
So it's only if there's a problem with the application from the applicant that they are charged for public hearing. According to our,
Which would need to be listed within 5 days of receipt.
yeah, but what I'm saying is it doesn't fall into that, so.
Yeah,
How many letters were sent out?
300 feet, and would you say that it
It
was?
was within 300 feet. I believe there about a dozen. I want to say there was 11 that was mailed out. I haven't received any correspondence from that mailing yet.
Okay. So we would then have to shoot off another,
It just would be if a public hearing was foregone, it would be a best practice to say that the public hearing was canceled and to say that, here are the proposed changes that, that would be approved on this date, on March 5th.
what is the will of the commission?
I wanna have a public hearing, but I don't think it makes any sense. So, that's where I'm at on it.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we forego the public hearing, even though I want one, but it doesn't make sense.
I'll second that.
Motion by Bell, second by Hyberg. Let's use our staff resources and all of our time wiser.
Yes.
That is
Mhm.
the will.
And Jonathan, and I apologize, I didn't write down your other gentleman's name. I'll be in touch with you following the meeting as well tomorrow morning.
Great, thank you, Ben.
Please don't send your tower guys up till April. It sucks to be out there in March. I feel for the tower guys. I've been ground crew enough times.
Page 144 is the one that has the elevations of the picture, so.
Oh, were
Yeah.
you going to include that they had to, what it said about removing on page 24?
Yeah.
Those four. Scroll back to that. Just to get it in the motion.
Let's say remove,
Verizon must have the existing equipment removed at levels 143.5 feet, 129 feet, 115 feet, and 156.5 feet before installing the proposed equipment.
and any other items that indicated that we removed in the packet here, because there's a couple.
Let's say, doesn't this whole application become part of the agreement?
Yeah, it's essentially this, and the entirety of the application that was proposed is that without taking action, it would automatically be approved as presented.
What I'm saying is that the limitations that are in this information we have are part of the agreement, so. I don't know that we need to call out removal of all the equipment because it's already being instructed by.
It's always good to
I-
bring
I-
attention to
But
it.
we might be missing something, so plus
And
whatever.
well, and then Nate said, and anything else.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm looking for the page because they're actually taking a really big platform that's Sprint installed to use exactly for 6 months. It's noisy. They're calling to take it out. I just want to add that. That is on page. It's. Come on, what's my page number here? Wrong tab. Page 114. There. It's an existing Sprint platform. And associated equipment to be removed by GC.
Okay, so then. Okay, Skip, can you rescind your second?
Yeah, but for what?
Well, because I think we need to
Oh,
word
to
this.
Yeah, we need to-
Yes,
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I'll rescind my motion.
Okay,
okay,
because I think.
Yeah.
And I think that Nate's motion was just to forego the public hearing, but I think that we need to approve this according to the application that we reviewed tonight, and then
Okay.
highlighting,
Sure.
you know, the things to be removed that were on page 24, and then the Sprint platform on 114.
Mhm.
And include the foregoing of the public hearing because it makes the most sense.
Okay, so that motion would be to approve the application pending the removal of the items listed on page 24, the antennas on 24, the Sprint structure indicated on page 114, and to forego the public hearing.
Okay, motion by Val, second by Heidler. Any further discussion? All those in favor respond with an aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, then we go all the way down to page 150 in our packet. I feel sorry for the people who have to put that application together. That looks like a nightmare. Adopting a new zoning map for the village of Sister Bay. Ben gave us, a lot of background information. There are still things wrong on the map. One of them being, the CBRF. It's, listing the wrong property. Which is,
say that again, Denise,
say what again?
what you just said, that, what was the?
The CBRF, Hartside that's on Fieldcrest.
Sorry.
The wrong parcel, is notated where it says proposed R1. That is the Glen Estates. Did Bay Lake do this?
For the annotation.
Yeah,
So that one was based on what was there from Julie. This was annotated as that area when communicated with Bay Lakes. And then based on the annotation, I put it together on what was discussed as part of the December meeting.
that's what we had at the December meeting. No,
Okay.
it's not the same part though.
Okay, was that just right up above it?
So where it says proposed R1, it should be R2. And I also believe they own the property behind it. And they also proposed a couple of years ago phase 2 on that back parcel. So I believe that that should also be changed to R2.
Actually, are you talking about, Straight West?
Yes,
I believe that's owned by Christ. One of their trusts.
is it? Because it didn't, when I pulled up the map, it
It
didn't
is.
look like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's Premier Field Trust, Sister Bay LLC.
Okay,
It was the other one. Oh.
so the CBRF was already changed to R1, kind of showing up white. But we do have Okay, where it says R1, if you go straight up to Highway 42, beyond the green slash lines. Okay, you will see that there, and then go to the right. There are two pink parcels next to R1s.
Yep.
I know it's really hard to,
These two,
yes.
yes, okay.
Nate, where Dollar General wanted to go.
Yeah,
You talking about this one parcel? here?
Yes.
Okay, so the address on that is 10585 Field Crest. That is currently,
The second one. The second.
currently a
okay.
residence
Currently a
and
residence.
should be, the R1 should just go up one more lot.
Correct.
And even our
Yeah.
future land use map, it shows that line in that accurate position.
So I think we need to make that change.
Yes.
Did you know which one I was talking about then?
I believe you're saying for this one right here, or was it further to the right?
This one was here. It's this
Gotcha,
little one.
okay. That'd be for both of the parcels that are,
No, the one fronting the highway should remain B1.
and then the one, that'd be for R1 for the secondary.
Correct.
Yeah,
That-
so,
To the
so
south.
the address for that parcel, that should change is 10585 Field Crest.
There is also, so we have two PUDs listed here. One being, the Devley. And then the Door Hotel. And before we go to public hearing on this, I would like staff to review the yacht club at Sister Bay. I believe late, I'm trying to think, when did I get on the board? 94.
Just, review whether or not it was a PUD that was.
It was a PUD to start with. When Jim Reed had it, so there should be some notation of it in, hopefully in our file. And if staff can find that,
And I apologize for cutting you off. What year did you think that that might have been?
it was before 94, they had been there for a while, so I'm thinking. I mean, you could call Ron Kane. Who used to be in Plan Commission, he was the administrator at the time. And he might be able to narrow that down, because I would imagine that file and all the iterations that project went through and over the decades it took time to finish, it could be very thick. But he would have that knowledge.
Okay. If it's not within the file, I will give a call over to Ron Gaines.
Okay.
And you got the cleanse as the change to R2.
Yeah, that was the change that was within the future land use map. That was something that I was gonna bring up as well. Before the confusion is that, yes, it would align with what the future land use map would be and what the current uses are.
And some of the early iterations did not include the easement driveway into that. This one does show it.
What do you got, Skip?
Are you done?
I can be, for now.
Sure. So up, near the north end of Sister Bay. The property that's the 4 condo units. Then on the future land use map, we show as multifamily R2.
Are you talking about on Bay Shore Drive?
Yep.
On the corner of Sunset, right across from the
No.
marina?
We're almost up to the.
The one that
northern
they added, the Oregon had onto their little cabin or something, there's those 4 little cabins.
Oh, yes, okay, got it.
Yep. If we're showing it as, multifamily on the land use, we should probably keep it zoned as R2 also. The fact that there are 4 units on it owned individually, and we just permitted construction on the 4th one, it makes sense to leave it as R2.
And that was a change.
Hmm.
That we were consciously making
Which,
To R1.
to make it multifamily.
well, I mean, it is. There's 4 separate houses on that
Right.
property,
Right.
and I don't
But I mean,
see
it's,
it.
on the,
Future.
um,
This is,
right. Was it always that? Did we change this throughout our conversations?
I have no recollection.
no, I don't agree.
I don't recall.
I don't know. that
I
we
don't
ever-
remember talking.
Yeah, I don't remember
about
having
it.
discussion. But I also don't see that changing. You know, somebody buying out 4 owners and making it one.
But you'd think it should be.
I'm just saying, I think since it is R2 and it's probably not gonna change, that we might as well just. Make it R2. Trying to get the.
I don't know that we can do that. Because that would be spot zoning and they are grandfathered. Nate?
That would seem to be spot zoning. I mean, there's nothing else touching it. There's nothing else
I
that's
think,
adjacent.
and
to it.
because they are grandfathered, I think that's why it has remained what it has.
And while we're not discussing future land use, is that something we should make a note on for that discussion? Because that is spot usage.
Correct.
And this is that weird balance.
Right.
And that's why I'm just bringing these up for
Yes.
discussion so that we can figure out. I see the validity of what you're saying, that it's grandfathered and it's,
Right, so on the zoning map, it's okay, but yeah, it shouldn't be that here.
and since. I'm just thinking of the changes in the text we just made of non-conforming. What impact?
That what, but the 50%? Is that what you're talking about? Or, because that was
That's
for
on use.
use.
That's on use.
Right.
correct, And that's why I was.
Yeah,
What I wanted to make sure is we weren't penalizing something that's grandfathered, like if one of those burned down.
future conversation. Ben, can you write that down and put it in the tickler file also?
Sure. There are the ones we talked about.
Did you end up finding that address for what it is for the 4 condos?
Oh, for up there.
I can identify it later on. I
It
just didn't know if you had it.
is. Have to Pull it up somewhere to make sure I get.
Oh, I have them all in here.
1083. 8-5.
No, it's gonna be in the one oh
You know, it's
nines.
8-3,
Oh, I'm sorry.
8-5, 8-7, 8-9.
Here it is, I found it, yeah,
8-3, 8-5.
8-7 and 8-9.
108. So. Off of Fieldcrest. 2536, why do we have one little part of a parcel excluded from the woodland overlay?
That is, where Don Howard lives, I believe.
It looks like it's just a house,
Yeah,
but the property that the house is on extends far beyond the structure. And there's houses on other parts of the woodland overlay, so I was trying to figure out why that little yellow box is there.
I can't answer that question.
It just doesn't seem appropriate.
It's kind of like,
Yep, I've got those marked
Do you
here.
know when the, do you know when the woodland overlay map was first proposed, whether in the December?
oh, just this,
Well, just the map when it was generated for the overlay in terms of working with it, was there an initial version that did not include the carve out?
don't remember.
Okay.
We, meeting after meeting after meeting, we just kept going through this and we're still going through it because it's just,
There's a lot of things about the woodland overlay
Tedious.
that just don't make sense to me. I think it's something that we kind of put it in there on our comprehensive plan. And then came up with a plan for it. That's what it seems like to me. There's other, I don't disagree with Steve Muzinski's comment that I've got a field that's now woodland.
Well, and that's something else that's farther down my list of what you take a look at the satellite stuff, it just doesn't make sense, but. So anyway, on this particular property. Should we be including that in the woodland overlay? 2536.
it probably should be shaded because you're allowed to build a home.
Right, and the house is already there.
Right,
It's-
the house is already there, so shade that in.
So that little box should go away. All right, and then along Fieldcrest, and this is gonna be what Steve was talking about, when you take a look at the maps. Most of the properties along Fieldcrest have no trees on them. They're orchards. And I don't understand why we have half of a lot included in a woodland overlay and half of not, when there's no trees on it, it's orchard.
They is kind of, they looked at it and I think they came up with a woodland overlay, I believe. So I think that may be how it ended up as bizarre as it is.
I'm looking at the GIS and.
Yeah, so am I.
In the unit, the properties have not a single tree except for the one long rectangle.
Are though, okay. And this is getting in the weeds a little bit, but sometimes that has to happen. Are these orchards farmed? Or are they just remnants of an old orchard that at some point in time will fall to the wayside and other things will grow?
I can't answer that, I don't know. But these satellite images are pretty current and there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot there besides orchard. Even though it's eventually gonna get beyond its useful age. My question is just why do we have half of a parcel listed in overlay when the whole parcel is currently unforested?
So you would like to back off on that shading?
The shading
And
would
hit
just
the
move
property
west.
line?
We just moved west to the parcel property lines. On those houses along Fieldcrest. Except And we can leave the one in there that's the deep rectangle that is half forested. There's no address on it, but it's Russell 18100731241C.
I think the woodland overlay is just way too arbitrary to go ahead with. I think that the rest of this map is good. I don't think we should move ahead with the woodland overlay as it's presented here or anything close. Cause it is missing a lot and I don't know about its goal.
The goal is preservation of the trees that exist.
Sure. But I'm saying like, because of how we're having it arbitrarily through the village where there's other places where there are trees. And there's heavy woods that aren't included in here. It's,
I hear what you're saying. I'm not, this isn't
Yeah.
something I'm gonna like stake a flag in. I just did, these are things that did not make sense. When I looked through and compared.
and it's a degree, Skip. But you're saying it doesn't make sense to me. I'm saying it doesn't make sense all the way over here. So we're on the same side of it,
Yeah.
just how far.
My recommendation is we just push it back to the property lines, but. If we wanna leave it there, like I said, I'm not gonna.
What we did with the tower and using common sense, I think this is using common sense. So I'm not gonna stick a flag and we can pull it back to the property line and I'm okay with that. And,
If the rest of the commission agrees, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm just trying to do
right,
what seems logical.
in an illogical world.
That's our role.
No.
All right, and the last two were those small properties off of South Bay Shore Drive. 2629 is a 1.1 acre property, so it should probably be R1, not CS1.
Whose
Yeah.
property is that, Skip?
That's,
Is that the churches?
no, this
Oh.
is on the other side of,
Just say 2629.
So you should.
yep, 2629. That would be the gentleman, I think, that was here at the meeting last month.
Oh,
Overby?
yeah.
Yeah, Gary Overby.
Okay, and he shared a driveway with,
He's got an easement
Right.
off of, I think it's the New Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. Zoom in a little bit more, now I got it, the house,
It's
Yeah.
it's a really small little property.
okay. So, south of Lamberts.
And on the future land use, we call it out as residential. So
Okay.
it's not contradictory to.
And what is being proposed for that property?
R1 instead of
Okay.
CS1, because the acreage is below the limits for CS1.
Yeah, I got it there, with,
It is.
okay, that's
Yeah.
south, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then the last one is 2649 South Bay Shore Drive. It's the other yellow square just to the west of the one we were just talking about.
Okay,
And that is only 5.2 acres, so it should be an R3, not a CS1. Why it comes up easement shading on it, it's this piece right here.
You know, and I have a couple other ones on here, and I can't get rid of it.
Oh, it's in the drop down under parcels.
Oh,
It's an easement thing.
So he has an easement off of. Oh, the dentist. No,
Yeah, yeah,
No, between the dentist.
well, the dentist is, yeah, it comes
The
in right next
dentist
to it.
goes, yeah, so that one actually goes to that,
There's a yellow barn back there.
but
Well,
that
they
little
create-
shop that's next to the dentist, no, little shop, it's like spinning spool or something like that.
Oh, the. yeah,
Bobbin and
plants.
Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
that's probably.
Hey. So what you're saying to, because it doesn't meet the dimensional requirements.
Yeah, the acreage is too small. for
Right.
CS1, but it fits
Whose
into the
property
R3.
is that? I mean, I see it on the map, but whose is it?
Charles Wood,
Charles Wood. Okay,
it's 5.22 acres.
Yep. Told you I went down a really deep rabbit hole in history.
You could do this all over the village.
I did.
I've done some.
So those are the only suggestions I have.
okay.
What's that parcel number, Skip?
Parcel number on that one is 1810007312813B.
Oh.
It's 2649. South Bay Shore
Okay,
Drive.
yeah.
Well, that's all I found. Got some more, Denise?
Anybody else?
Previously mentioned, the woodland overlay doesn't make any sense. I think it's missing too much stuff. I think it's wildly inaccurate, so I'm not comfortable with that. And I think that's, kind of hard to go through and say, I think this is where Woods is, but if you look at an aerial view of the village, you can see that it's way
Well,
more.
Let's get consensus then on what we're gonna do with the woodland before a motion is made.
Makes sense.
Skip said he can go either way,
My-
pull it back.
My preference is to pull it back.
Right.
But. You know,
But you're not gonna die on that hill.
right. I
And
know where
it
to
can be
find- I
reviewed
know where to
in
find seedlings.
the future. I can go either way. Pulling it back.
I can go either way.
Me too.
Either way for me.
Most of the other areas where we have the woodland overlay in place. There is some pretty good tree canopy there. I mean, I kind of looked at most of those. So this was the only spot that really stood out.
Okay, well then I'm gonna rely on you. And your meticulousness on reviewing all the woodland, and if we pull that back, then that's what I'm gonna go with. Even though I'm sure that there's some other areas that can be added to it. Let's
Just to the,
at least get it on
So this is carved out this.
the map
So-
now.
I'm sorry.
Except for the exceptionally long lot, which is being referenced in the case.
So this one lot is half wooded.
Yep.
And without separating, without
Yep.
dividing lots like we did before, that one, see.
I mean, bowing out to the east, not the west, essentially.
Correct. Yep. And there's no address on that, one, so.
Okay, so then I'm gonna take a stab at a motion here. That, we amend the proposed zoning map, the draft as of 2/13/26. With getting clarification on the yacht club at Sister Bay PUD. That the Woodland overlay district along Fieldcrest be made smaller, moving west to the property lines to shade in, I'm just gonna say down Howard's house.
Did you say eastern? Okay.
And then along Highway 57, changing. What parcel number was, Overbees?
There wasn't anyone who just,
42, I'm sorry.
That was for 2649 South Bay Shore Drive.
no, I think you're
260.
talking about, 10585
Oh, gotcha.
Fieldcrest.
That was down Howard's.
No, that's the house up, right behind where the,
First area, benefit 2536 is Don Howard's. 2536.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take down Howard's out, and it's 2536 Fieldcrest Road. Maybe it would be better seeing that you wrote down all the addresses for you to finish, Skip. I shouldn't have jumped in. I apologize.
okay, so picking up where you left off. 10585 Fieldcrest should be listed as R1. The Glens and their access easement should all be listed as R2. The square at 2536 Fieldcrest should be included in the woodland overlay. The property at 2629 South Bay Shore Drive should be listed as R1. And the property at 2649 South Bay Shore Drive should be listed as R3. And we did include what you said about the woodland overlay on Fieldcrest that I picked up after that.
Okay. I will make that motion.
Seconded.
Second by Heifer. Further discussion? All those in favor respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed, just because of the woodland overlay.
Patrice?
Yes, I.
Motion carried. Okay, so we will have that public hearing then at next month's. We'll send letters out again.
Are we at the matter to be placed on the future agenda?
I think so. Let me just
The-
scroll down.
Yeah, before we
just scheduled that public hearing, will we have to have one on the proposed future land use if we make adjustments to that? Should we do those together?
So right now, the intention was to have it for the board meeting for what was initially proposed. There is nothing that would prohibit the plan commission from holding another public hearing with any proposed changes.
Okay.
As part of it, and frankly, it would be one notice for both of these items. And it could very well be done. That's why I was gonna bring it up as part of the items to be placed on the future agenda. That if you did want to, if the planning commission did want to change this back to R1, with what was aligned for the zoning map, that'd be an opportunity to do so as well.
So then we have to have another public, so otherwise we'd have to deal with this at board in March, otherwise the public hearing would have expired.
So it's 60 days, excuse me, it's 60 days that the recommendation holds from the plan commission going to the village board.
But did we actually have a recommendation coming out of January?
So the recommendation was to change.
I know, but I mean, we stopped in January, we didn't touch the,
The future land use map had a recommendation to go to the village board, the zoning was halted. And that the text amendments were recommended to the board and also approved with modification.
so I held it back from going to the board because I thought those two should go together.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, yeah, so if we had another public hearing for that, then these could still go together. It's not that big a deal if we bring up one and then the other. So I'd prefer to bring them both at the same time, especially if we're doing the public hearing and it's not gonna incur additional expense.
It would not be, so I could look at it two different ways. One is that it could be redone and the plan commission would have the recommendation with this change. Or it could also be communicated at the village board level to have it be approved with that modification as well. Because the ultimate say would be for the village board. It's a matter of semantics, really, if it's just another public hearing, if it's already been done, but.
But I think we should have the public hearing because we don't know how the people that own that property.
Mhm.
And so if we only changed it at the board, I don't think that that's as transparent as them being notified by mail, showing up to a public hearing for one parcel. I think that's better.
Mhm.
So
But did we already send the future land use to?
we did, but it did not, Nate held it back.
Okay.
So the board has not even looked at it yet.
Because that's a discussion that I think we would benefit from taking a look at before.
Yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't, it just
Oh,
would be-
okay.
Because we can't discuss it today. I find inconsistencies there also, like I found with the zoning map.
Well, I mean, it's a public hearing, so then we discuss it after that. I mean,
But we won't know, because it wasn't an agenda item tonight, we
Right.
won't know what Skip would want to change, so we would have
So-
no idea who to notify.
why don't, Skip could talk to Ben.
It can come from the zoning administrator in terms of any proposed changes for it. Essentially, just as part of the matters to be placed on the future agenda, be scheduling the public hearing for the future land use map. Ultimately, for what is being proposed, it wouldn't be appropriate to be commented on as a group, but we could potentially review the changes, send it via email, get feedback if there's any individual members that have anything. And if that's what's being presented, there is an opportunity as part of the public hearing to make any modifications as well.
For the most part, they are all just cleaning up property lines. Where parcels are suggested to be two different things within one parcel.
Okay. Well, let's try it that way then.
So then just to clarify as well, as part of this, what I will do as part of the zoning map and for the future land use map is I will work with Bay Lakes Regional Planning to have that updated following this meeting. to send email communication, everyone being fine, copied about what it is, if there's any comments. That we received as input prior to the public hearing. And that, we would then move forward with having everything be published and available. As part of the public hearing. And
You say everything to be in the zoning or both?
Being both, so essentially, if there is if anyone is listing for a public hearing as part of a future agenda item, that it would be both. As of right now, the motion was made, for the zoning map to include those public hearings.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right, so, and follow-up for staff, sending out, a follow-up letter that there's not a public hearing on the tower. All right. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
motion by Heidler, second by Herb, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Then is it-